Three the Hard Way opens with a man named House, who was a prisoner in a remote experiment camp operated by white supremacists. In a desperate attempt, he escapes but is badly wounded. He finds a young couple who takes him to his friend, Jimmy. House meets up with Jimmy and his girlfriend, Wendy. They take him to the hospital. House tells Jimmy that he was a prisoner at the camp and cryptically warns them that all of them are in danger. Jimmy dismisses these ramblings as a man who is delirious from excessive blood loss. Jimmy returns to his recording studio while Wendy stays with House. Jimmy is at the studio when two agents from the camp find the hospital. They kill House and kidnap Wendy. In these desperate times, Jimmy calls upon two of his closest friends, Jagger and Mister. When Jimmy meets up with them, they are quickly attacked by more agents of the experiment camp. They find out that the camp is run by Monroe Feather, the leader of a white supremacist militia, and is assisted by Dr. Forterero. The sinister duo have collaborated on a serum that will not harm white people, but will be fatal to black people. It is up to the trio to stop them from poisoning the water in three major cities. Then they plan an attack on Feather's compound head-on, armed to the teeth to rescue Wendy. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It was basically a street-level superhero movie. The wealthy record producer, the charming playboy, and the disciplined martial artist. These three battling a Bond villain caliber nemesis in Feather with an army of loyalists and a henchman in Dr. Forterero. For all the acclaim that audiences gave Black Panther and even Blade, I'll say that Three the Hard Way was one of the first to give the black community a comic book hero cinema offering. White supremacists are some of the best bad guys. Much like Nazis or robots or zombies, you can just dispose of them in horrific means and you can kill as many of them as you want and nobody blinks an eye. In the final confrontation at Feather's compound, his army is wiped out by the dozens with some overpowering weaponry. In an attempted ambush, one of them is thrown under the wheels of a Chicago transit train. We don't see the gory details, but we hear the chilling scream as he's torn apart. The movie itself has been parodied and paid homage to in the latter films. 2002's Undercover Brother deals with a vigilante played by Eddie Griffin, stopping Mr. Feathers, played by Chris Kattan, from killing the black population of the U.S. with an ingested toxin. 2009's Black Dynamite involves a similar conspiracy, but with toxins in malt liquor instead of the water supply. Director Gordon Parks had previous experience with the classic Superfly. Yet, with Superfly, you have a cocaine dealer as the protagonist, which, in hindsight, may not have been the best option. Yet, I've seen Latino youth idolize Tony Montana, and Italians make heroes of the Corleone family. With Three the Hard Way, you have three positive representations for black audiences. Script co-writers Eric Bercovici and Gerald L. Ludwig brought their experience with television to this film. Between the two of them, they have over 70 writing credits under their belts. MacGyver, Murder, She Wrote, Hawaii Five-0, Mission Impossible, I Spy, and Man from U.N.C.L.E. are just a few. I've seen Jim Brown previously to watching Three the Hard Way, notably in The Dirty Dozen and Mars Attacks in supporting roles. It was cool to see him in a leading role as Jimmy. He gives a sense of authority and confidence. He's well-mannered and professional, but he can let his temper get the best of him sometimes. Fred the Hammer Williamson plays Jagger. He's the smooth operator oozing with charisma. He had around 9 or 10 film credits by this time, both as a supporting role and in the lead. With Three the Hard Way, he found his footing and what roles fit with his persona. Jim Kelly was riding high off of his performance in the Bruce Lee classic Enter the Dragon, and his own solo outing, Black Belt Jones. One would think his preference for hand-to-hand combat instead of guns would make him an easy target, but he has some impressive stealth close-quarters combat skills. His scene alongside David Chow in the role of Link made for an interesting duo of martial artists that would have been a no-brainer for a movie. Jay Robinson as Mr. Feather and Richard Angarola as Dr. Forterero are an amusing pair of villains. Mr. Feather is a bit of a dandy, while I can't take Forterero seriously with his Emo Phillips haircut. These villains are difficult to take seriously, which makes the stakes seem even lower. Had there been more serious actors a la John Saxon or Martin Landau or Robert Vaughn, the tone of the film would have been much more fitting. Sheila Fraser as Wendy doesn't do much, serving as the damsel to be rescued. Fraser made a long career for herself in television. Credits include Starsky and Hutch, The Love Boat, Dallas, and Magnum P.I. Alex Rocco has a small role as Detective Denisco, appearing only in 2 scenes. The man worked right up to his death in 2015. He has a ton of credits, but he's likely best known for playing Mo Green in The Godfather. Three the Hard Way is well worth watching. You have a trio of great actors with personalities that complement each other. These characters served as role models to a community in need of positive representation in film. This film allowed for Williamson to continue to work on projects of others as well as make his own. You can find the full movie on YouTube.